Hey, what's up, guys? Mike Patrick, and in this video, I want to talk about properly addressing mental health in the so-called black community. Okay, guys? I want to talk about how we can look at mental health from a different angle, and maybe if we look at it from this perspective, okay, then we can better address it, and therefore our mental state can actually benefit us, okay, as opposed to being a detriment to us, okay? Now, when I say that to say with any circumstance, okay, with any situation, there are negatives and there are positives, okay? So it's all about the outlook, okay, and the approach, okay? And so in the in the so-called African American community, guys, we have to make sure that we are loving each other, okay, having empathy for each other and sympathy for each other, okay? Because with with things of this nature, we definitely have to have an understanding and an actual caring, okay? So you have to look at your fellow African American as your brother, as your sister, okay? And we have to get back. And I'm not saying that we are already aren't doing this. I'm not saying that this is not getting better, but it's just about always emphasizing things, okay, for others who come along, okay? Um, we just have to make sure that we're bonding with each other, okay, and really having love for each other, okay, and coming together. All right. Now, the thing is, guys, you heard me talk about epigenetics before. If you haven't heard me talk about epigenetics, go look in my archives or just look up epigenetics and just find out about it, from whatever source that's a good source, okay? And so epigenetics started off something that was more, um, I guess you could say pseudoscience. Then it became more science, fact. Then now it's more medical, where we understand that depending on the environment that we put ourselves in, okay, and the circumstances that we put ourselves in, or that we are put in, through whatever means, you have your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit, your emotions, however you want to word that. You have a epigenetic response to that, okay? You have a way that your genetics respond to your environment and your circumstances, okay? Now, so to give you an example, if we eat healthy food, right, we're just being general here, okay? We know there are different variables, but if we're eating healthy food, we're what? We're putting our temple, our body in an environment that's conducive to health, right? All right? If we eat what we traditionally know to be bad food, then we're probably putting our body in an environment that's conducive to different sicknesses that we see play out in that's prevalent in all communities, okay? But I'm addressing the so-called African American community right now. So we know we've had problems with obesity, diabetes, cancer, and as well as other races as well. Okay, guys. And so the thing is, so that's from a more of a physical standpoint, right? The things we put into our body, then it plays out, and how our health physically, right? So even the circumstances that we're in and that we're put in, and societally, can also affect, our state of mind. Okay, guys. So it's no, it's no secret that African Americans have had a hard way to go in this country, okay? And from an epigenetic standpoint, we're not very far removed from, from slavery and things of that nature. Some of us, if you're 50, 60 something years old, you may have a great grandparent that could have very well actually been a slave, okay? So from a genetic standpoint, and from from when you speaking of hereditary and things that are hereditary, okay, 2 and 3 generations are not very long, far removed for people to be able to pass certain things down, okay? So we know that our ancestors, while we have experienced, depending on how far you go back, We have experienced greatness. If you've been around long enough, you're going to experience it at all. I mean, at all, right? So yes, we have experienced a whole lot of greatness, and we have to always make sure we're emphasizing our great moments, okay? And then we know we've had some points in history that weren't our best points and times in history, okay, guys? And so with that said, all of that is a part of us, okay? All of that is in our genetics, okay? And so when now the thing is we have to heal, right? So if we're coming from a time in our history, and we're not that far from removed from a time where we were not in our best state, okay? Then that had a lot to do with the mental and emotional um circumstances that our ancestors were in, okay? And like I said, if we're not that far removed from them, then a lot of things can be passed down. So just like obesity can be passed down, alcoholism can be passed down, uh, heart disease can be passed down, high blood pressure, all these things that we say are hereditary, right? Well, it's only hereditary from an epigenetic standpoint, meaning that what that means when we say something is hereditary is that it means that if you are under the same circumstances that say your mom or your dad was under, okay, and doing the same things that they were doing, then you are likely to form this, based on you living a certain lifestyle that is very similar to the way that they live. But when something is hereditary, it's not set in stone, okay? If you change up your environment, you change up your habits and things, then you can express different genes, okay? And so the thing is with mental health, even though we're removed from slavery and it's in the way that it was, say, 400, 500 years ago, okay, um, we still are under a lot of stress and have been under a lot of stress, okay, and under a lot of pressure as people. And even if we were in perfect circumstances, right, being that we are not that far removed from those times, okay, then some of those genetics, some of those things can still spill over into the newer generations, okay. And so what we have to do is we have to understand and figure out a way that is beneficial to address maybe old traumas, okay, that may manifest in new people, okay, and how to heal and bring things together, and how to um, be productive in the world that we're in today. Okay, all right, today, the world that we're in today. So therefore, these things, like I said, depending on how you look at things, it can be beneficial and a gift. Okay, our ancestors were under a lot of stress. Okay, so um, there were certain things that came out, and that they expressed. Okay, and that might have been relevant and and useful for the time that they were living in, okay. And so we just have to find ways to be balanced, okay, and deal with these what seem to be issues in this day and time, in ways that are balanced and productive, okay? And like I said, compassion, empathy, sympathy, so we can truly get people the the proper circumstances that they need in order for them to thrive, so they can, from an epigenetic standpoint, express the best aspects of themselves, as opposed to aspects that will not be conducive to positivity and to productivity in this day and time, okay, and in these circumstances, okay. And so with that said, it's definitely our responsibility. See, we may not be responsible for the conditions that we were put in, per se, say 400, 500 years ago. It gets way deeper than this, but let's just say, to try to keep things somewhat simple, even though things were set up, okay, for us to be, in a bad state, obviously, you know, that part of it is over, guys. And so all we can do is take responsibility for what we can take responsibility for. So coming together, right? Loving each other. It's our cross to bear. It's no one else's cross to bear. If people want to help us and assist us, that's good. You know what I mean? There are good people out here, and all colors and all races, okay? And the Most High has his people everywhere, okay, guys? And the thing is, but we have to do our part, okay? And so it's like I said, it's our cross to bear. We can't blame something. We can't say this was someone's fault from 500 years ago and then harp on it, okay? We can address that so we can know how things came to be a certain way, okay? But then from that point on, we have to do, like I said, do our part to correct ourselves, okay? And not making it someone else's responsibility, okay? And so I think that's pretty much a good way to look at it, guys. So, you know, trying to do all that you can do to balance yourself out and working with yourself and bringing out those positive attributes, okay? Because like we said, anything can have a negative and a positive, side to it, okay, guys? So cultivating each other, working with each other, honing each other, loving each other, respecting each other, teaching each other, and raising each other up, okay? Raising each other up, and you'll find out that we will do great, okay? We will be fine, we will be wonderful, we will be better than fine, okay, guys? It's just understanding your circumstances, understanding who you are, okay, what you are, and what needs to be done, and then just loving each other, having compassion. Love, compassion, and togetherness will take us a long way, okay, guys? And because then when we have understanding for each other, then we can work with each other, and we can work with each other gifts and attributes and strengths, okay? And we can make our weaknesses our strengths, okay? And we can get stronger with our strengths, okay? And that's what it's all about. But it takes true compassion, and we're the only ones that's going to truly love us, right? Nobody's going to love you. Nobody's going to love your child like you love your child, right? And so we have to look at this thing from a tier standpoint, okay? Look at it like this. Your children are an extension of you, okay? Your people are an extension of you. You are an extension of your people. Okay? So you have to love yourselves first, okay? You love yourself first and do for yourself first and help each other, okay? And really show compassion and love for each other. And people can see that and feel that, okay? And then therefore it will encourage people to wanna help your brother, help your sister, okay? Raise your brother up, raise up your sister, to work together as opposed to fighting, okay? And coming together. And then if you think about your children, see, people can be in whatever state they're in, but we all usually want the best for our children, right? So even if we're in a certain state, we can at least step outside ourselves enough to know that we may want better for our children, right? So look at it that way. So don't look at it from a standpoint of view, because that's why we have to be critical of ourselves and try to work on ourselves so we can understand that we're not perfect, and it may be, we may have certain hangups and things that may very well not be our fault. But if we are starting to get things together now and address these things now, then it could be better for our children. Then it could be better for their children, and then they redeem us. You see what I'm saying? We redeem each other, okay? And so, hopefully this was a good video, guys. Hopefully it was a good way of talking about mental health. And so we got to stop, and then we also have to make sure we're not stereotyping each other. A lot of people don't want to deal with mental health because they don't want the stigma of being considered crazy and things like that. Okay, you may be gifted, not necessarily crazy. You got people that you just may not know how to filter, okay, and deal with whatever it is that you need to deal with. And that's what we're talking about, getting proper help and proper understanding, okay, from people who truly care, okay, and who's going to address the situation properly, okay. And so we can get real healing. It's all about healing, healing, healing. We need healing, and it starts with us amongst ourselves, okay. um Let me see. Yeah, and so don't worry about stigmas and things like that, okay? So that's why I say it's all about perspective, okay, and the perception, okay? So, like I said, so we have to take that tag off of it. Now, we do have some people that's more to the extreme or can have extreme situations, okay? And that can happen, but like I said, that's all about rehabilitation, um, and working on these things so we don't have extreme situations to deal with that doesn't prove to be productive, okay. um we want our mania to be in a way that we're building, okay, and we're thriving and we're producing and things like that, okay. Hopefully this was a helpful video, guys. Peace.